Afternoon, guys. John here, Mr. Forex Fire. So, just going to share the screen. This is now going to be the New York session of the 31st of January, and we're going to be heading into, obviously, the New York Open. So this morning, just to go back on some stuff, I've just filled a couple of sheets in. We started a new data forward test going on what we collected last week, which was very profitable, albeit we were looking at 0.10% risks. I'm confident what we collected last week, because when I looked at the back data, and like I say, if I'd risked 1% trades on there, we could have gotten between 14 and 18% growth in those 4 days, and it was only 4 days of trading. So today we've gone back to the drawing board. We started off the London session. We reset the paper trading account to 100,000. We got our first win, okay, $2,000, excuse me, and 96 cents. $2,000 and 96 pound, $2,096 dollars. Sorry, couldn't get my teeth in for a second, but you can see on here on the data dashboard, we took one trade. We've got that 100% strike rate. Ignore what you're seeing on these bits here at the moment, simply because we haven't taken a loss for it to be able to calculate that. Risk to reward, we are looking to have these as a 1 to 2 on everything that we take. Maybe in the near future, as we collect this data, maybe we can start looking at some of along the lines of moving an SL to break even, just to collect more data when we get to 1%, or maybe even taking a partial off. I don't want to try and get into the habit of taking the partials off. I think, in all honesty, after we collect the data this week, I might move forward with another one, and sort of, for the losing trades, let's say, if we get the 1-to-1, then I would move the stop loss to break even to see if that produces any stem of the flow of the loss. So as you can see in here, we've got the dashboard all set up. 1 trade, 1 win, and again, profit gain just over the 2%, which is fantastic, to be fair. And I've got it on the sheet here. This is back testing. It's just a supplement of what I've got on here. It's a forward test as well. Just tells you the date, what I ended on. Was it long or short? The risk to reward. Was it profitable? And what did we gain? We gained 2%. It gave us that $2,096. Okay, so on here we've got 2% profit, 1 win, no losses, 1 trade, 100% win rate, and we've got the accumulative profit there. And then we've got the equity curve starting to build. Okay, so what we're looking at, I'm going to stick with the pairs that's been serving us well from last week. We've got the GBP, JPY, we've got the GBP, USD, and we've got the Euro, USD. Now on here, you're going to see the New York kill zone will come in UK time around about half 1 in the afternoon. So I'm looking to trade this between 1:30 and it can go anywhere up to around about, say, 3:30. So I'm going to be looking between those times. If we take it into New York time, which is what I ideally want to be setting the charts up with, you can see we will be coming into London time. The start of the kill box will be 8:30 in the morning. So we've got around about, say, 36 minutes before that comes into effect. From there, I've got the New York time zone. Okay, so we're starting from midnight of New York, and we've currently got it on a 15-minute time frame. So I've got the high and the low, the 15-minute structure. And this is the basic plan that we're using, okay? Ignore these bits here. These bits come into another plan I'm working upon, but I'm just basically using a high and low, something that I've taken from another method and style that I've seen from elsewhere. And I'm just seeing and forward testing it, because I've never really traded the ICT way. But what we're seeing is very encouraging, to be fair. So if we run down these three here, okay, we've got the GBP, GPY, we've got the high, low, the 15-minute, the midnight open of like I said, of the New York time zone. And we can see in here, when we get liquidity grabs on here, there is where you can trade these areas here as well to be able to get more dialed in approaches. But that'll come as another strategy setup, what I will do. From there, we're going to take a look at the GBP USD. We can see there's a trade probably starting to form now. We're now starting to take out the low point. So, yeah, we've got a trade possibly forming here. We've got the Euro USD and it's stuck within a range. So I'm just going to go on the GBP USD. This has served us really well today. Like I say, we've got our 2% growth. I'm going to take this down to the 1 minute chart. And I'm just going to get rid of what I was looking at previous. So at the moment, I'm just good. Like I say, I just want to start lining up the ducks up. So we've had what we call a liquidity grab right there. Let's get the trade plan on. And we've got the first box ticked, okay? The displacement comes from when we'll get the reverse coming in. The displacement needs to come back and break a previous structure. So like I say, as we have come down to took a liquidity grab, the displacement on this occasion would come in the form of the reverse on price and the previous lower high structure taken. So when we look further into that and how we would identify it, we would, at the moment, obviously go for the last buying candle. But again, we want to see a fluctuation. I do believe what may happen is, as we've come down, we might come up to do 50% of this, maybe create another low area there, then come up, break on that. Then we would look for the fair value gap in here to then take us up to the higher side. Again, that's what we're looking at as a bias at the moment. So at the moment, we are just sticking with the fact that we've took a liquidity grab. So the key areas of what we do when we're setting these things up, okay, I'm just going to get rid of this just so we don't confuse ourselves. We've got our trading plan here. We mark out the high and low of the 15 minutes after we've had the midnight come in, okay? The liquidity grab is always identified by a blue circle previous to the last structure, in this occasion, lower low. So now this is the new lower low, but we will not be marking this up. We just do this as a liquidity grab with the blue circle, okay? We are awaiting the incoming of the kill zone before we can officially start pulling the trigger, okay? So I'm going to pause the video there, guys. You've seen what I've got as a setup. You've seen what we're doing. When we come back to the chart, obviously, more or less, we will be seeing that this area has shifted to give us a new point of interest. But we've just lined this up ready to give us the confluence on what we're looking at with regards to the steps in the trading plan. So I'm going to pause the video. I'm going to try and keep this one as short and sweet as I can today, and obviously not go too much into the price action because I did a video this morning, which you will see on my YouTube channel. You just need to go and click on the link on this, and then you'll see today's which has been uploaded, and it's called My ICT Journey, taking forward test to the next level. So there's different things I'm putting into this structure and this plan for this week, and we're going to see what kind of growth we get based upon risking 1% each trade. Okay, guys, so that's it for me at the moment. I'm going to pause the video. We'll be back once we start getting the green zone. Be back in a second. All right, guys, so out of curiosity, okay, I am testing this. Obviously, we haven't got the green box for the New York kill zone. So I don't want to enter this as such. This is where we were as we got the liquidity, okay? It's like I said, trading plan. Liquidity grab was here. We created a new low point, okay? Now we came back up, like I mentioned on what I was expecting. We had a buy candle here. Then obviously this would be the breaker structure on the lower high. This would be our entry point on this 2-minute fair value gap. If I take this away, you can see the 2-minute fair value gap has been touched into. So this would have been an entry. It's back to the entry area. As you can see, a little bit of drawdown now. We've got a structure of around about 7 pips. Okay. And around about 14 pips to the high side. This would be a 1 to 2. This would come into the criteria of what we're trading. But ideally, I want this to be done within the zones of the boxes. Okay, but there is no harm in, like I say, structurally setting this one up and just seeing if it actually plays out. Okay, so again, I'm going to leave the low to here. This would be the new low point. I'm just going to leave it here for now because obviously if we come down and get stopped out, it's created a new low. So for now, we'll just see if this one plays out. It would, if it becomes a successful trade, it does not get added onto here because technically it is not entering my trading plan or my trading method. But it's always good to see how pre-session open, how these trades will play out, whether they sort of win or whether they lose. Okay. However, again, as we come into here, we've got some USD news coming within the next hour. So, like I say, there's going to be some volatility to be expected on here. Some housing price index in S&P. We're just having a look at this. It's generally speaking, a high reading is seen as positive, and obviously the low reading is negative. That's on the USD. If we just get rid of that, we have a look at the S&P. So this is the real estate market in 20 regions across the US. This report serves as an indicator for the health of the US housing market. Generally, the high reading is positive, obviously, and then the low reading is seen as negative. If we click on the dashboard, let's see if that brings anything up. So the consensus there, they're possibly looking at somewhat positive, to be fair, but again, we shall see. If I come out of that and we go back onto the videos more or less done from this morning, we can see that this is now in profit. Like I say, I don't want to be entering the trade based upon obviously pre-session open, and would you know it's actually starting to come into sort of profits. What we can do is we can go on here 7 pips. If I was to go on this sheet here and go to the calculator, 102096, that's the new balance. Okay, 1%. Again, it was the GBP USD. We're looking around about 7 pips. 7 pips would be the risk based upon a 1% trade, and the lot size will be a 14.59 on this occasion. Okay, again, we are not entering this, we're just seeing what sort of parameters it would be setting. We do know we've got an entry here. Okay, we've tagged into that in the fair value gap. I'm going to take the 2 minutes away. We'll see how this plays out. We'll see what it does. Again, we are expecting, I'll just get this down. We are expecting around about, let's see, 8:30 on this UK time, on the New York time, sorry. So 8:30, we're looking at around about there for the open. Okay, so what I'm going to do, I'm just going to put this in as well. I'm expecting the open to start here. Okay, so this is pre-open. It's a risky trade that you would normally be in, so we haven't entered it. We're just seeing what it may or may not do. Again, we've got plenty of time at the moment for structure to sort of come down and take down a low, okay, to form a new high before the official kill box comes in. So it's just good to see what this would have done. In fairness, you know, I do believe that we may take out this low. I'll pause the video, be back in a short while. Yep, so I've made the right decision by staying out of it. As you can see, we've taken out what would have been, like I say, the new low. Okay, so we can get rid of that point of interest. We can get rid of that. And this just confirms that we should always wait until the open session comes in. Okay, so for now, there is no harm in getting this and then just identifying a liquidity grab. There's our liquidity grab. And I had an alarm go off as well. So this morning, which is around about just before 3:15 New York time in the morning, London time, we take a look at this. It would have been just before the London Open. So prior to that, we had a new low it formed on here. Okay, this has now just officially been broken now on the New York, coming at New York. So we've had a liquidity grab. We'll put ourselves back onto the New York session time. And with regards to time itself, again, 8:30 is when the box is going to come in. We're going to get some fluctuation between here. Again, looking from what we're going at is obviously the last that last buy candle, which is there. We would be looking for, with the trade plan as we run through it again, you are looking for the liquidity grab. It's happened here as it's come down and created the new low. Displacement, so as it comes back through and up to back and pushes through from the previous point of interest, lower high on here, we will be looking for the fair value gap from whenever it sort of takes that out, you know. So again, we are not entering trades. We're just looking at pre-session open. It's just identifying these areas. The GBP USD starting to come back into the sort of field of play, the game zone, as I like to call it. The Euro USD has it's just sticking between two areas of the big daily high and the daily low. So it looks like the field of play at the moment is going to be either the JPY, and the one where we got a 2% gain this morning in the London session. Once again, I'll pause the video. I'm not going to come back in until we get the green zone, which is going to be the game time. Okay, guys, be back in a second. Right, so here we go, guys. We're about 2 minutes away. Not even that, we're 1 minute away now from the New York Open. Just get myself a cup of tea. And I can see, as we do, we look at the plan. This would be the kill box start. So we're about 46 seconds away from that. Again, as always, just going to put my cursor on this time. So we've had a liquidity grab from the low. Again, we've identified that liquidity grab. We're waiting for a displacement to come back on the reverse. But I want to wait until we're about 3 or 4 minutes going into the kill zone box. Got 20 seconds left. The GBP, JPY, let's just see what's happening on that. Again, this is why we wait. The liquidity was taken from that low right here, identifiable by this. However, now that then would have became the low. Okay, liquidity grab coming into the session. Well, as we move into it, okay, look at this. Look as the open comes in. Look at that. Look at the spike. It just comes straight down. So we've got a liquidity grab there, and it looks like there's a move on the other side. We just need to wait for news to settle, to be fair. Again, there was news coming in. The spike of the open always creates a movement. This is the low. There's no liquidity grab at the moment. Just want to take that out. Some hefty movements at the minute, especially on the GBP USD, to be fair. Again, take this to here. Get that out. This is the low. We'll get rid of this. Get rid of that trading plan there. There's the kill box starting to come in. Put in the fair value gap. There's a huge fair value gap there, to be fair. It's not something I really want to get in and trade with, to be fair, because we're just coming in at the first minute. But let's just have a look. Well, if we sell like 50% of that, coming down to this, it's too much of a risk, to be fair. I want price to settle. I want price to settle, but there's no harm in setting this up just to see what would have happened. Like I say, we've still got an hour or two into this session, so we just let it settle down, let it play its hand, you know. Did anything move on the Euro USD? Yes, it did. It spiked out and took out the high. Okay, so Now we've had a liquidity grab here. This is our liquidity grab here. And we'll just see if we come back into the fair value, okay? Make a fair value, I should say. So we could say we're expecting price to move below this, but we needed to see if it'll leave behind any sort of fair value gap. Euro odd. Again, I haven't been trading this, to be fair, but we have made a high up here. We've left a fair value gap in here. Okay, so you could technically say we'll have a short in this. That would be the area, a 1 to 2. Again, I haven't been trading this today, but I'm just going to leave that there just to see what it does. That was the NAS. I missed out on that this morning. That was something else I was testing. So we've got the Euro USD. Again, we're wanting this to come down below this marker. The GBP, JPY. GBP, USD. And we're just going to let price sort of settle itself over the next minute or two. Because again, this is still prior to the New York Open, I should say. So I do apologize about saying it's the New York Open. It's prior to the 9 a.m. bell going off. So you can tend to get a little bit of volatility leading up to that. We'll see. We'll get a touch into this. Again, just remember, this has not been actively placed as a trade. We've still got, like I say, a 2% growth on what we did this morning with a nice just over $2,000 on the paper trade. This, I do believe we might get a little bit of sort of hecticness in this during the day. It has to come down a bit. Let price do what it needs to do. GBP, we'll just keep an active eye on these things. Looks as if maybe a touch entry on this at the minute. Get rid of the fair value gap because we're 50% of this gap here. See this here? 50% entry of that gap there. Again, I'm just going to take that out just so it's going to sort of declutter things. And we'll see what happens. So the GBP, JPY did take a liquidity grab. Obviously from that low, it spiked down with a wick. It's still making a move down. We may, if you look on here, I had from this morning sort of sell side liquidity, and obviously up on the top was buy side liquidity. It's swooping down into what I marked up this morning quite nicely, to be fair, to mitigate into that. So again, the GBP USD, a pipette of entering on that by the look of it. That must just be a hair's breadth off it. Look at that, just off the entry. Again, it's not a full entry that we've set up. We're just sort of playing with the candles for a minute, just while we'll get a little bit of dust settling, and then we can move forward from there. The Euro odd set up on 1 to 2. There's the 1 to 2 there. We started to come into the 2-minute fair value gap. We haven't fully mitigated into the halfway point. So we'll go back to the Euro USD. Again, the liquidity's up on here. If I'm honest with you, I'm going to move this up to here. Going to get rid of the liquidity grab circle. Put the magnet on. Have it on here. Now we're starting to get the dust to settle a little bit now. Go back to GBP, JPY. We had the liquidity grab down on here. We're waiting for that reversal back up. because obviously the low would have been here. We're looking for sort of price to come above that area there to leave behind the sort of displacement, if that makes sense. The GBP, again, didn't quite enter on there. I'll pause the video. If I find the setup, I'll come back on and we'll start recording again, and we'll be back in a second. Right, so we're coming back and having a look on what's going on at the moment. Again, you can see here, we have took a liquidity grab there. Okay, so if I, there's no need, you can see it's clearly being taken on there, to be fair. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to put the magnet tool on, move this up to here, magnet tool off, scroll back out of it. Again, we're looking for liquidity taken on there, to be fair. We'll see. We'll leave a fair value gap behind us. We'll get the displacement come back down. I might have to go back on there because it looks like it might take it. I would love to see this taken because there's a nice fair value gap sort of forming here, to be honest. And we may be able to get in on a nice trade. I just don't want price to come in to fulfill this area, you know. Again, if we can sort of get this position ready, it will be around about there, around about 12 pips. 1 to 2. I want to see price break that structure there, to be fair. We've got 10 seconds, right? So we're going to go for a sell. Again, 12 pips or 24 pips. 12 pips or 24 pips. Risk 1%. Okay. And there's our trade set for that one. Place this a little bit higher up there. 1%. And we've got $1%. Right. So we've got a trade set up there for the Euro USD. The Euro order, again, 1 pipette off, or like a little bit of a pipette from entry on there. This was not a one that we were entering. We were just looking to see if it was going to respect this area. Just go back on that. I took the NAS off, didn't I? So we'll look at the GBP. Nothing's coming in to play on this. We've got the liquidity grab from this side up here. From there, again, we're just meandering about. GBP USD, there's the touch entry on that. So again, this is not entered. We just want to see if it respects and goes on to shoot up. So it's good to have these, not entering every trade, but also as long as we get part of what we're getting on the plan, we can sort of put these into the test as well. But again, we have not officially put it in like we have for this Euro USD sell, if that makes sense. Let's just take a look. The GBP is thinking about moving up. So again, we got the liquidity grab there. I want to see this push up. We might get a second entry here, guys. The Euro USD is not coming back at the moment. GBP USD is in profit. So again, we haven't officially entered this, but we can see we've got a nice wick entry. We're waiting for that return to come up to the higher side, leaving a displacement of a fair value gap on this, to be honest. Again, we're not quite into the open of the New York, so we might have been a little bit hesitant in setting this one up, to be fair. Alongside, obviously, this one here, but like I said, this is what forward testing is about. You can see this 830 line, okay? That means it was the New York open kill zone, okay? Again, structure-wise, what I'm hoping or what I'm looking for a layout is this taken. So we'll get the liquidity grab, and then we look at the displacement for the fair value gap. And at the moment, it's a roundabout there. It hasn't been filled in. So again, we still could get another drive push, which will give us a bit more. We'll put that to, you see there, it's absolutely spot on with regards to that fair value gap in there. It's going to come in and mitigate into it now, though. Let's get rid of that. Again, we're just going there. Looks like we could be coming into an entry. But again, we are prior to the actual open of the New York, so this might have been just getting in a little bit too early, to be fair. But we'll see how it plays. Euro odd. Again, just you're missing out on what would have been an entry there. GBP USD, that's heading into nice profits. We've mitigated through that fair value gap now, so again, we can take that off. And it looks it looks as if here comes a tag. Is it tagging in? Why hasn't that tagged in? Come on. That's an Henry. I'm not going to manually execute that. I want that to do it itself, to be fair. Again, we've just here missed out on here. This should have been an entry. It's just here missed out on there, albeit it shows you it's ended. The GBP, GPY, obviously it's just meandering about. GBP, USD. Again, we didn't officially enter this, but it's tagged here, most certainly, and it's been in at least a 1-to-1 profit. A little bit annoyed that that has not tagged us in, to be fair. The sell limit line's there. Very annoyed at that. And again, this looks as if it might actually come down to actually give that 2%. Here we go. See what's going to give us the entry now. Come on. Markets are messing with our heads here. GBY still messing on. Again, we're about 15 minutes or 13 minutes, 12 minutes into the New York Open officially. Today, let's just go back. That's tomorrow. Today, 9:45. There's USD news. Within the next 45 minutes UK time. Let's have a look. I just want to come out of that. Look at this. So that's possible 2% there. No entry on that. This just here missed entry, and it's on its way towards a 2%. And the one I wanted to end it is still not bloody ended. Look at that. There we are. It's ended now. Right. Let's see where we are, guys. Like I say, I'll pause the video. We'll come back. We're officially in one trade. Hopefully this will hold its structure. If it doesn't, it'll just take us out, and obviously it'll affect part of what we risked today. We're getting a 2% win today, so this would take the profits down to just a 1% win. But I'm going to come off that because I don't want to be looking at it, because I don't want to sort of get a rush of blood and try and close anything out too early. Again, that euro odd, I know we haven't ended it, but it's a shame. It's around about a pipette off there. The GPY is it's gone into a sloth mode. And the GBP USD, that's definitely hitting a 1%, like a 1-to-1 gain at the moment. I'm going to pause the video, see where we are. But again, the structure, what you're seeing in front of you now, even though we're on the 1 minute chart, the plan, the procedure, and the sort of delicacy that we've got of getting in onto the trades, you can see that this looks as if it's on paper and on data that we're seeing so far, it can be a profitable sort of method. So I'll pause the video. We'll be back in a short while and we'll see what happens from there. Right, guys, as I say, trying to be as open, as transparent as I can. Okay, so again, we've taken out this low here. Okay, so with us taking that low there, we've got the liquidity grab here. This brings the lower high, sorry, down to this structure here where we would be expecting a break back up above if we can at all get that. Again, looking back on this, that euro odd, it's more or less went for that 1 to 2. Which is a little bit annoying because we missed out on that by a pipette. The Euro USD has got us in drawdown at the minute. That's what we're looking at the moment, waiting for that reversal back up. The GBP USD is still in, it's like I see around about 1% profit on there. Again, two of these where we've set up and put the parameters on, or the ring fences, if you want to call it that. We haven't pulled the trigger, but again, identifying these as possible setups and then putting them onto the chart. Maybe in hindsight, looking back on it, because they were just about meeting the parameters, maybe we should have just pulled the trigger on them, to be fair. But it is what it is. Worst case scenario, we get stopped out on this one and it takes our 2% growth for today down to 1%, you know. But overall, again, that GBP/USD is in profits. We're now making new lows on here. So we're mitigating through the sell side liquidity, okay, which is slightly off-putting because if we take all the stops out of here, again, could be a good thing to be fair, because if we take out all the stops that were involved in this area and it's mitigated through it, we then might start getting a price reversal. I don't know. It's just a thought, food for thought, you know. Again, the euro odd is just about, we missed on it, but it's just about coming down to that 2%. We're now around about break even sort of thing with the Euro USD, which is our entry, which is the entry. Again, we're keeping tabs on the GBP, JPY. We can now, we're fully mitigated through this area. I just want to sort of look at this here. Go down to 4 hour, I think it was it? Yeah, we can see on here, we've got the sell side liquidity based upon obviously the wicks here. It's crashing through this at the minute and it could be heading for this area as well. But go back to 15 minutes and then we'll go on to that 1 minute. You can see we're now creating most certainly a lower point. Okay, so again, this is the high point here. Just want to keep this as it is. There's the liquidity grab. We're still in this uncertain area, to be fair, of more or less break even on there, GBP USD. I'm going to pause the video, guys. Like I say, I'll be back in a second. It's just, there's a few trades we just need to actively keep an eye on. But this one here is the most important one at the moment. This is the one we need. If we can get this to come and give us the 2%, it's fantastic. It means we'll have attained 4% today. But what's even more better, the asymmetrical compounding, we can then bring that into effect, which is a bonus. It's a power play, I want to call it, on my trading. So as long as this holds and it gives us that 2%, we can do the power play move on the next trade. But I'm not liking what this is doing at the moment. I really want to see price start to come down to take the liquidity there. If we can start price dropping and take this bit, I'm going to have a bit more confidence in what we're doing, okay? So I'm going to pause the video below. We'll be back in a bit. So I've come back on for the sole purpose of we're just about to hit the official New York Open. But bearing in mind as well, we're on about 2 minutes away from some news, the housing price index, but also the S&P, the home price indices. So again, we might see a spike. We went through this morning. and we'll see what happens. So as we've got the ducks lined up, again, we just see missed out on the entry here. And this is sort of fluctuating here where we'll be in profit. The price on the Euro USD, which the news that's going to be coming out in exactly about a minute and a half could determine if we get knocked out or if, in fact, we get a good return on this. GBP, JPY, we're starting to see, obviously, that run of play of liquidity there. We need to start seeing some price movement on the upside. To be fair, the GBP USD is still stagnant and sitting around that 1-to-1 area. Again, we've got 49 seconds left until that news comes in. It's sort of finger biting at the moment because, again, we're starting to hit a little bit of profit here at the minute. However, by the time this candle closes and we go into what is going to be the news gets released, it's starting to be released here. We can see the circles coming in. We're going to see a push on price, whether it's going to be in our favor or not. So again, 20 seconds counting, and we'll see if we get some sort of whipsaw. We may not, we may, I don't know. Like I said, just depends on how good or how bad the news is. 9 seconds, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And we're going to get a whipsaw effect, or are we just going to stay as it is? Not much movement. Let's have a look. So it was a negative on the actual, okay, a positive on the S&P. So we might get stopped out. I don't know how that's going to affect us. Is this going to move down for us? Again, the purpose of this trading this plan is at the moment just setting these 1 to 2s, okay, guys, and then from there let them fail or let them succeed. As we move forward and collect the data, then we can implement structure into the plan with regards to take partials or possible move SLs and things like that. But I ideally want to try the setup of a 1 to 2 movement, you know. So the GBP USD, again, also hasn't moved as such with that news. Again, that euro odd is staying where it's at the minute. So just everything seems a bit stagnant at the moment. So just want to move this down to here. This is going to be our new lower high. Going to be possibly looking at an entry shortly on this because we've had the liquidity grab from up here. So we could be imminently waiting for a move on price on this. Let's just wait and see. Yeah, that's going to stop us out. I can see it. Yeah, it could practically take us back down to 1% for the day, but it is what it is. And in each session, I only really want to take 1 to 2 trades, 3 at most. 3 at most will be the maximum I would want to take in a session. We've got an hour left of play at what I would call my trading allowance at the window. Right, so we've had a break on that high side. I want to see a shift higher, to be fair. We'll put that 2-minute fair. We've got a 2-minute fair value gap here. But I don't want to trade that. That's too, for me, it's too risky. Coming back down on price on that. The GBP JPY hasn't really been moving much, in fairness, when I look at the sort of structure point from the spawn. It was just, you see here, there was just a lot of consolidation in the the London Open. From here, being on this, I mean, I know I had this as a high. I would want to see that taken as well, to be honest. I don't like the idea of this being here. I want to see another take or another little bit of a run on that player. We're still in drawdown on that. The GBP USD is still meandering on that 1% move area. The euro order that we just here missed out on is also consolidating, and it just seems to be what price wants to do at the minute, is just consolidate. Let's take a look. Here we're on the New York Open. As you can see, we're 5 minutes into the New York Open. Like I said, the first hour of that's all I like to trade. I don't like to trade too much into it for two reasons. One, obviously, price will start to slow down going into the New York lunchtime. And two, after 3 o'clock, I just get disturbed with the kids coming in from school and the wife coming back from work. We might get that runner plate up onto here. I don't like to see this up here. GBP, GPY, that's starting to move up. So is the USD price. I mean, like I said, we've getting a win the day. I mean, if we suffer a loss, all's not lost, because again, we've got a 1% gain, you know, and that's what you need. You need to look at the positive rather than the negatives, to be fair. I'm going to pause the video in a second, because obviously what I'm waiting for now is just that run of play on here with a fair value gap left behind, if that makes sense. So I'll pause the video. I'll be back in a short while. Coming back into this, obviously the GBP USD, it would have given at least just over a 1-to-1. Okay. However, it's come back down, starting to retest back into the entry. Again, we did not enter this. Glad I didn't, as such, when we're looking at this now. The GBP JPY, we've moved structure a little bit, because obviously this was the low prior to the New York Open. We made a new low. We didn't break the high point. We've made another lower low, and we've created a pullback. So we're taking liquidity to create liquidity. So when we look at this, we do look at, obviously, this being the liquidity now, we're looking for that to be taken to look for the displacement in the fair value gap. So this is officially the liquidity grab, this area here from there and then from here. Okay, displacement comes back through, make a shift in momentum, leaving behind that fair value gap. We're waiting for a green fair value gap as such after we get a break through this lower high. And again, price is just messing around. It has been all day with the Great British Pound, Japanese yen, in fairness, because we were just consolidated. We made a structure. We started coming towards a structure high of the day. Didn't quite mitigate into that, but we come back into the midnight open price. So this was midnight open of the new day of the 31st of January. We come back in to sort of mitigate through into that. And then from there, we've just sort of been on a downward trend, you know, and it's just a continuation of price movement. The GBP USD, again, we had that displacement from the new structure low, the fair value gap here. We've ended here, or we would have ended there if we pulled the trigger. We didn't. Again, when we look, we will possibly be looking at a 1-to-2, which would take it up to around about this area. It's came back and more or less retest the mitigation of the fair value gap. The euro odd ran away from us, more or less give the 2%, but it's come back up to mitigate back into the entry areas of the fair value gap. So I don't know what's going to happen with that. But the only one that does count is this here, which is the euro USD. Now, when we get into the 3 o'clock time, if this is not giving us a decision on whether it wants to knock us out or give us that 2%, I will be looking to close this, whether if it's in profit, if it does not sort of break the structure. Okay, I will close this just after 3 o'clock, depending on what it's in on its profit wise. Okay, so again, I don't like to go trading into when the times of the kids and when the wife comes back from work. Like I say, if I'm looking at this structure wise, will it hold? Maybe, maybe not. But as long as it's in this area, it's in no man's land, and it may come out to take us out up on here. Again, where the stop loss is at the moment, it would have to break the structure of the daily high. Okay, so there's every chance where it could come out and sort of take it out, but we'll see what happens with it. And again, that euro odd, it has come to touch back in on that fair value gap entry, but the only one that does count is the euro USD at the moment. Again, I'm keeping tabs on this just to see if I can get a quick entry on a reversal back up to see what we can do, and I shall be back in a minute. Right, so I'm going to risk another entry here of a 1%. Okay, as you can see, we've come down, we've broke these low points, we've mitigated through the sell side liquidity, and as we've come down, we've broken into this lower high, coming above here, grabbing liquidity on this high side as well. From there, we've left behind the 2-minute fair value gap. I've got around about, like I say, around about a 1 to 2 set up here. Get this in, that's your 1 to 2. There's a runabout here. So that's going to give us our 1 to 2 area. Again, we're waiting for a swoop back down on an entry price. The euro USD looks as if it's going to take us out, to be fair. So that would take the 1% back off us if it does do that. Again, if this happens again with regards to the GBP, JPY, it would mean we've just more or less broke even for the day on the session for the day. But again, we need to forward test this, so we'll see what happens with it. Hopefully that euro USD is going to hold its structure. We can now get rid of the liquidity grab blue circle. Bring this back down to here. Get the magnet on. Get that damn magnet on. And then take it back off. So there's the entry. This might actually take us out. Hopefully it'll contain itself. It'll get us back in up on the high side. I don't think there's been too much of a liquidity grab for it to substantiate a entry on price, but we shall see. And again, I haven't gone to the swing low, if you've noticed. I'm trying this trade as in the fair value gap and just under the area of the candle wick. Again, very risky, but if we can get price to hold, which it's not looking promising, to be fair, it might just take us out. This will verify whether we need to do them swing lows, to be fair, on the lower side. I've ended it now, so I've got to stick with what I've put. This is going to take us out. I should have went with a swing low. Should have went with that swing low. Yeah, straight out. Straight out. Right. And this looks as if it's going to take us out as well. Oh, New York. The New York session again. There we go, been stopped out twice. So that's it for today, guys. I'm gonna pause the video, and we're now into a little bit of drawdown on the account. It is what it is. Again, when you look at this is what's annoying with this. It hasn't fully went into that area of sort of stop loss. According to this, it's still active. So again, I've got to look at these spreads and things like that, to be fair. The GBP, JPY, that certainly crashed through that. I'm not going to enter another trade because it would be too risky. I'm going to pause the video, be back in a second. Right, guys, so I've had to sort of manipulate the data sheet at the moment because, like I say, as you see, we are in drawdown now, 99,916.89. I've had to mess around with the commissions and things like that to get, like I say, the 99,900, that's the account balance on there. And let's have a look. 99,916.89 is what I have on here. However, I need to get that balance on there. So just bear with me. I'm just going to rectify this. Right, we'll start that one again. I should have 99,916.89. 99,916.89. So we've had to faff around with the commission side of it. Just go into the dashboard. 99,916.89. So this is where we are. We've had, like I say, 2 consecutive losses. We've had 1 win. We are in drawdown of minus 2.40 now. And again, profit loss overall is only $83. We're in a minus overall, a minus balance of 0.08. So it's not detrimental. It's just obviously moving forward. We can see that it's confluent with what price we have on here. Looking at price, if we just take away some of the stuff at the moment, obviously the JPY just tanked. The trade we never got into, which was the GBP USD, it's just hovering on these areas at the moment. The Euro USD did not actually sort of hit the SL area up on the top here, but spreads must have taken us out. So in hindsight, we possibly should have widened the spread a bit more, but it's in profits at the moment, so that's a little bit annoying. And the Euro odd actually went on to do a 2%. So looking at this and what we have, we've just picked the wrong trade and the wrong entry, to be fair. Again, not particularly fussed. It is what it is. We move forward with what we're doing. We just look at what we are doing. Again, it's not detrimental to the account as of yet. We're just below break even. It's showing you what we possibly had on a relevant drawdown at the minute. Again, we were at 2K at the start of the day. We've come back down to just under break even. We don't let it get to us. We just understand that we're just letting price do what it needs to do, and we're just forward testing this. Okay, so that's the end of the session for the New York. Looking at it, and final thoughts on this is possibly we shouldn't have traded today on the New York session simply because of the news events coming in. The news didn't really take much difference on our trading. We just ended up getting in on the wrong trade, to be fair. In hindsight, again, if we'd had this widened, then we may have still been in a trade. And if we'd entered this, we could have had a 2% there and then possibly, in a trade there. But we've done what we've done. We've took 2 losses this afternoon. And it is what it is. Okay, guys, I shall see you all a bit later.